US President Donald Trump has said that he will likely implement a blanket tariff between 15% and 20% on imports to the United States from countries that have not negotiated separate trade agreements. So far, Japan, EU, China, Vietnam, Indonesia and Philippines are among countries that have managed to secure trade deals with the US. The tariff range for them is 10 to 30%. However, several South Asian countries, including India and South Korea, are yet to clinch a deal with just days to go before the August 1st deadline. Trump had earlier proposed tariff rates in the range of 25 to 36% for these countries. Sources tell us that there have been no signs of a breakthrough on India-US trade talks yet. US wants India to commit to big-ticket purchases and investments. It also wants zero-duty access, just like with Japan, Vietnam and Indonesia. Sources say India is considering all options, including the possible imposition of reciprocal tariffs. Both sides hope to find consensus on a full agreement by fall. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has said that the Washington's August deadline for imposing tariffs will not be extended. So how will the tariffs impact India and other nations? Joining us now to discuss this is Mark Linscott, Senior Advisor at US-India Strategic Partnership Forum. He has served as the Assistant USTR in the past. Thank you very much for being with us, Mark. Let me begin by asking you, from your experience as a trade negotiator, is there now any likelihood of having an interim deal before the 1st of August? You literally have 2 or 3 days to go. Trade negotiations are complex. You've already done 5 rounds. The negotiators came back to India on the 19th of July. Can anything be done in the next 2 days?
Well, first of all, it's great to see you, Parikshit. I certainly hope to see a deal. I'd like to see a deal. We do only have a few days, but I've stopped making predictions. I thought several weeks ago that we would have a deal between the United States and India in place. The negotiators have done the hard work. That's clear to me. We've got members of the cabinet on both sides that have been involved. Howard Lutnick, Jameson Greer on the U.S. side, and Minister Goyal on the Indian side. I think what is needed at this point in time is for the two leaders, Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, to touch base. And I think if that happened, there would be very good prospects to reach a deal this week.
Right. You know, the countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Japan, even European Union have reached a deal with the US. Does India stand to lose if we don't get a deal by the 1st of August?
I think so. We are seeing the Trump trade policy in full flower now. It's a trade policy of chaos, of uncertainty, of arrogance, of aggression. And I'm quite confident that it will move forward and impose reciprocal tariffs on August 1st. I don't think we'll have broad-based extensions again. And as you noted, Howard Lutnick made that clear. So if India does not strike a deal at this point in time, it will have a comparative tariff that is higher than many others who have struck deals. And in particular, Japan and the EU just yesterday at 15%.
Right. What do you think is the concession that the US is looking for? We've been told by the Indian side that agriculture and dairy is not even on the table anymore. But what is Donald Trump looking for? And should we be making that concession for the US?
Yeah, well, President Trump is trade negotiator in chief. He's made that very clear. Each of these deals have involved some level of his engagement with other leaders or even with a minister in the situation of Japan. I think that's what we need to see. He certainly will be seeking those headline announcements of big deals, of energy purchases to come, military purchases to come. And I think India could probably cobble together something like that includes a big number. So that's probably what is needed. But most importantly, it's that Prime Minister Modi and President Trump can engage this week. I think that is the missing component at this point in time.
Right. You know, when Donald Trump is seeking these big headline announcements, the fact is, how do you follow through, implement such deals, and and commitments. For example, Japan is saying $550 billion, and that country is going through a political change right now. How does one expect to implement and deliver on such deals?
Yeah, in fact, many of us former trade negotiators and U.S. trade negotiators have been scratching our heads about this over the last couple of weeks. It's not These aren't commitments normally made in trade agreements. Maybe many of these commitments are not yet in writing. We haven't seen agreement texts released, so we can assess exactly what is intended. I see some of these statements of hundreds of billions of dollars that will be invested or will be purchased as essentially best efforts, intentions on the part of the two countries. I'm not sure that they will ever be legally binding. I don't know how much government intervention will be in the mix here. I think they are aspirations as opposed to hardcore commitments. I think India could be able to provide that kind of component, just as the EU has, just as Japan has.
Right. Mark, just to understand from you, from your experience, what could India get in terms of tariffs on the 1st of August? I'm going by Donald Trump's latest statements, which have been made in the presence of Prime Minister Starmer in Scotland, where he says that the tariffs on countries which have not yet reached a deal or negotiated a deal with the US could be in the range of 15 to 20%. He has also threatened pharma tariffs. He has also threatened countries which are part of BRICS with an additional 10% tariff. So what could India actually get, realistically be looking at, if we don't have a deal?
Well, I haven't seen those comments made in the press conference with Prime Minister Starmer and President Trump, so I really can't comment on that. We've been anticipating several scenarios, one in which there's a deal, and right now the blueprint for that appears that it could be 15%. I think very close to what the negotiators accomplished a couple of weeks ago. It could be the reciprocal tariff that was announced on April 2nd. That's 26%. It could be higher if the president feels that a country has not been negotiating in good faith, and I certainly don't think that's the situation with India. But if the president makes that kind of assessment, we could see higher rates. I expect Brazil is going to face a 50%. I expect South Africa will face a 30%. But for the moment, it appears that the range for India could be anywhere from 26% down to about 15%.
Right, anywhere between 15 and 26%. And what if India were to wait it out? If we don't give in, and Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has said this on 2-3 occasions, while it'll be good, and I'm quoting him from a statement he made on Sunday, while it'll be good if we have a trade deal by the 1st of August, we also have to look at our national interest. Now, how would you interpret this statement? And if India were to wait it out after the 1st of August, how would things pan out? How bad could it really be?
Well, I think the best case scenario, at least the least worst scenario, is to strike a deal this week. That's what the president is looking for. That's the best way to avoid reciprocal tariffs. If a deal is not struck, the two sides, I think, will continue to work together in trade negotiations. The larger aspiration is for a bilateral trade agreement. That was never going to be done by August 1st. In fact, those negotiations for the larger agreement will probably take most of 2025 and leak into 2026. So I don't think it will be the end of the world. I don't think it will be a collapse of negotiations if the reciprocal tariff comes into place. But I still think that the best case scenario is to get a deal now and then build on that in the future BTA negotiations.
Right. And finally, when we speak about a larger headline deal with investment announcements and big ticket purchases, India is already looking at major defense and energy purchases from the US. According to you, what do you think would be some of those big announcements that Donald Trump would be looking at? Because what we also hear is that currently he doesn't think there is too much ambition in the deal. So if there were certain big numbers, big announcements from the India side, what could those possibly be and in which direction?
I think certainly big numbers, as you suggest, meaning hundreds of billions of dollars. That's what he's been touting with other trading partners. Yesterday with the European Union, last week with Japan. He wants numbers in that range. Energy purchases and defense purchases are central to that. Perhaps that would be sufficient with respect to India, and probably some kind of indication that there will be an effort to wean Indian purchases of oil from Russia. And that does seem to be part of the equation as well. But I'm confident that that can be done, and it would grease the wheels for an agreement this week.
All right. Thank you very much for those important messages. Mark Linscott, former assistant USTR. He was there in the former Trump administration. He was part of the mini trade deal negotiations and also senior advisor at USISP. Thank you very much, Mark, for being with us.
Thanks, Parikshit.
A quick look now at the other headlines from around